us to do this. She said, I want you and Jason to speak for the congregation. Lord, I wouldn't do that. Not at Oakhurst. But I did stop and think, and it wouldn't be me if I didn't try to be funny about this, because we all know that that's what I do best. I feel like my thunder has been stolen here at least 3 times. I don't know if they got in my head or what they did, but David and Susan came the closest. I was not going to sing 5 songs, but I was coming up with my top 10 list. I did keep it at 10. Not that I didn't think about it, shortening it. Anyhow, I tried to come up with 10 things that I thought this congregation had learned from Nibs. Now, I know that there's been a lot of things learned by a lot of people in this room, and they're not all going to be the same. But I think maybe we all can appreciate some of these. Anyhow, I begin with number 10. To be the minister of a small, emerging church. That was 65 members when he came to Oakhurst. You have to be a plumber and a heating expert. If none of you ever saw him cleaning up a plumbing mess, you don't know what the seminaries are missing when they fail to teach ministers some of the realities of the world. But we all know that that's how we survive. Number 9, it's true that God knows your name, but so does Nibs. As part of session, I have sat through many a session with new people joining the church. And when you ask them why they want to come to Oakhurst to be a member, they all say the same thing. I could not believe the second time I came there, he called me back. I'm glad God knows my name, but I'm even better for the fact that Nibs knows my name, and all of you are too. Number 8, building community is a daily challenge. Just ask Nibs. He even gave us a scripture, which I recently asked him to remind me what it was, and I was really glad he couldn't remember. I thought he remembered everything. But you may have remembered the time he told about his mother and robbing Peter to pay Paul. Yeah. That was an expression my mother always used. I never knew what it meant, even though I knew Peter and Paul were in Scripture. It had to be there. It had to be there. But he likened it to forming a community. That every time you lifted up the needs of one group at Oakhurst, the people in the other groups felt like their needs needed to be lifted up too. So then you had to go to the next group, and the next group, and the next group. And so building community was a non-stop activity, not just at Oakhurst, but everywhere. Number 7, nothing beats an attitude of gratitude. Of all the things Nibs has said, that sticks in my brain every day. And I am like Bemenu and Keisha when they say that they can remember and see him starting an email saying, thanks for all you do for us. I see that at least 3 or 4 times a week. It makes me feel good. But the attitude of gratitude is really, really important. And you have to measure your church life. This is something he said recently. You have to measure your church's life by the things that are not seen. Not seen, such as love, compassion, and justice. And it is something we've really learned from Nibs. Number 6, you can win Oakhurst dance competitions if you have a white suit and a flair for showing off. Even if it takes you years and years to learn the electric slide. Still can't do it. Number 5, it doesn't matter how long the worship service lasts. The preacher gets his 20 minutes. I remember Nibs saying that. You know, I brought my mother to Oakhurst a lot in the later years of her life, and she made the best, well, 2 of my favorite things she said about Nibs. The first one was, this is the longest church service. I never looked at my watch. I thought that was the best compliment. The other thing was Nibs went to see her in her final days, and he asked her if there's anything he could do for her. And she said, yeah, you can get that Harrington over here to see me. That was the minister at Peachtree Presbyterian that she watched on TV all the time, and she thought if he could get him over there, everything would be okay. Down to the mouths of senior citizens. When Pat says I'm getting more like her every day, I take that as a compliment. Number 4, put your money where your mouth is. And I'm just say this, just take a look at the stained glass window in the front of the church. Number 3, a great preacher makes you think, makes you evaluate, and makes you reaffirm your own position or change it. That's all you can ask for. Nobody's going to be satisfied 100% of the time, but we all can see where we're going and reaffirm what we're thinking. Number 2, it really is okay to disagree, but it is never okay to be disagreeable. I think we've all learned that. And I hope I've saved the best to last. Whistling while you work not only helped Doc, Dopey, Sleepy, Grumpy, Happy, Bashful, and Sneezy, but also made the 30-plus years as senior pastor and resident dwarf at Oakhurst Presbyterian Church go by in a flash for Nibs and for all of us who have learned from him and treasured him. Thank you, Nibs.